In a town where nothing ever seemed out of place, the death of 15-year-old Esmeralda shattered the illusion of safety and left behind a question too chilling to ignore. Did she somehow know what was coming? Just days before her death, she posted a haunting message online about receiving flowers when she died, a cryptic statement that no one took seriously until it became a horrifying reality. What began as an ordinary night out with trusted company quickly spiraled into a nightmare of betrayal, silence, and a desperate fight for survival. As investigators peeled back the layers of her final hours, the truth pointed not to a stranger in the shadows, but to someone everyone believed they could trust. Yet the most terrifying part of all was the final voice recording she left behind, and what it revealed in her last moments. It exposed everything. This chilling true story began with a single haunting sentence: "They all give me flowers when I die." Just hours later, those words turned into a horrifying reality. Why is it that we often recognize danger only when it's too late to act? Why do statements made in passing, whether as a joke or a confession, only gain meaning after the person who said them is gone? On February 13th, a large crowd gathered at the highway school gates. White flowers, once a symbol of purity, had become an expression of profound grief in their hands. A photo of 15-year-old Esmeralda Ritchie, smiling, was displayed on the wall. A year earlier, Esmeralda had posted a short TikTok video where she spoke plainly, without a smile, telling everyone when she believed she would die. At the time, no one paid any attention. We often doubt our own predictions and almost never believe those of others. Those words sounded more like a choice than a warning. People brought flowers not just in memory of the video, but also because of the disturbing coincidence, a moment that turned chance into fate and the girl's life into a tragic mystery. Her mother held a photo of her daughter, while her father clutched her notebook. At first, everything seemed normal, yet the date had become an unavoidable weight. Esmeralda knew when she would die, but why didn't anyone recognize the warning in her words? Before the tragedy, the Richards family lived in a modest home on the outskirts of Highway in the Eastern Dominican Republic. The area was considered safe. Neighbors knew one another. Children played outside until nightfall. Few doors were ever locked. The father, John Kelly Martinez, ran a small roadside stand, while the mother, Isabel Martinez, managed the household. The older daughter attended college, and Esmeralda, the younger one, went to the local school. The family followed strict but caring rules, and every Sunday they went to church together. Every night at dinner, they discussed the news, school, and their future plans. Their mother made sure her daughters were well-behaved and loyal, while their father taught them that respect for others mattered above all else. Esmeralda shared her mother's love for music and dreamed of becoming a model. Their lives followed simple but steady rules. Neighbors described them as quiet and kind. Esmeralda was sincere and often smiling, which made people trust and care for her. Her life seemed set on a clear path: family, friends, while in school. Nothing suggested that this ordinary home, filled with laughter, would become the setting of a devastating tragedy. Esmeralda belonged to a generation where smartphones were a central part of everyday life. In her spare time, she enjoyed watching short videos, reading comments, joining chats, liking posts, listening to music, and staying updated on trends. Her room was set up with a ring light, tripod, mirror, and various outfits ready for filming. For Esmeralda, TikTok wasn't just entertainment, it was part of her daily life, and many local teens were familiar with her page. She became known for her popular dance videos and her ever-present smile. Unlike many others, she didn't aim to shock or stir drama. Instead, she shared clips of herself, laughing, dancing, and singing with friends. People were drawn to her natural and easygoing style. As her likes kept increasing, Esmeralda began to feel a growing sense of recognition. Her dream was to become a model, and many of the photos she submitted to online casting calls were stored on her phone. She believed the path was simple. Gaining popularity online could be the first step toward real fame. Her parents didn't object, thinking it was a harmless interest. Her mother, Isabel, would sometimes urge her to focus more on school, but Esmeralda would agree and then return to her screen. Her friends noticed she hardly ever put her phone down. Even while spending time with them, she continued checking messages, editing videos, and choosing filters. It gradually became a habit she depended on, and going a day without posting felt difficult. Each new video became a small test, and waiting for reactions from viewers brought both excitement and anxiety. Toward the end of 2022, Esmeralda came across a strange video on her feed. It felt different from what she usually saw, featuring text that read, "They'll bring me flowers when I'm gone," on February 13th. There was no music or dancing. She reposted it late at night without any explanation. Few people reacted, and it largely went unnoticed. A few days later, she returned to making her usual content, and the unsettling phrase was quickly forgotten. Later, her friends said she seemed completely normal during that time, happy, lively, and a bit unsure of herself. There were no visible signs of stress or communication issues. She and her friends often talked about the future, outfits, video ideas, and new music. There was no sign of concern in her life. Those who knew her said they saw nothing alarming in that video. Teenagers often used such phrases online. It was part of the trend, either as a quote or a way to attract attention. A year later, that brief clip would become the only clue people relied on to understand what had happened. At the time, it seemed insignificant, almost like a mistake. But later, it would be seen as the first indication that something small yet crucial in her life was starting to change. When John Kelly Martinez began teaching at West Ella Great High School, it was about a year before the events that would shake the entire city. He quickly became one of the most popular math teachers at the school. He was 35 years old and didn't take things as seriously as some of his older colleagues. He allowed students to call him by his first name, joked with them, and participated in school activities. To many teenagers, he felt like one of them, a teacher who understood their humor, interests, and way of speaking. His teaching style also stood out as different. Instead of making students memorize material, he explained concepts in simple terms, focusing more on understanding than on grades. His classroom had a relaxed atmosphere, allowing even struggling students to feel comfortable. The school administration viewed Martinez as an excellent example of a modern teacher who connected well with students because of his strong interpersonal skills. His parents also admired him for the way he carried himself. He appeared kind and responsible, raising 2 daughters. During parent-teacher conferences, he spoke passionately about the value of education and supporting teens through their challenges, and no one doubted his effectiveness. Over time, he spent more time with students outside of class, helping with test preparation, offering extra lessons, and even discussing personal issues. To many, he was more than a teacher. He was a trusted adult. It was uncommon for educators to make students feel genuinely heard and understood, which made it easy for them to confide in him. However, what would later be labeled as boundary violations began during these after-school sessions, as certain interactions started to cross the line. It appeared that John Kelly Martinez was showing an unusual level of interest in his students, particularly the girls. His attention seemed excessive, but initially it didn't raise concerns. He stayed after class to speak with them privately, sent texts at night to check on them, and then made comments about their appearance. At the time, these behaviors were interpreted as acts of kindness. One of his students, Esmeralda, trusted him completely. She liked and respected him, knowing he appreciated her work and accuracy. For a girl seeking fame online and attention, receiving notice from a respected adult felt meaningful. No one at the school thought their interactions were strange. The staff, parents, and even Esmeralda herself didn't view his behavior as threatening. In schools, these types of relationships often appear harmless, disguised as good intentions. They aren't seen as crossing boundaries, but rather as mentoring or emotional support. Martinez had violated her trust by mixing professional duties with personal involvement, a fact that only became clear later. He knew exactly how to communicate, and when to speak, and when to remain silent. With a calm voice, confident demeanor, and polite manners, he seemed flawless. No one could have imagined that the man admired by the students and regarded as a father figure could pose any danger. At the time, he appeared to be simply an approachable, respected teacher who could be trusted without question. February 12th, 2023 was just another Sunday. In the morning, Esmeralda helped her mother run their roadside stand, did her homework, and texted her friends. That evening, John Kelly Martinez sent her a message suggesting something different, a field trip to the local fair with his cousin and a few friends to learn new things. It sounded like a good idea, a short outing to relax before the school year began. Isabel, Esmeralda's mother, was unsure since he wasn't home and it was late, and so she couldn't discuss it with him. Martinez assured her the trip would only last a few hours and that the girls would be safe. After a brief pause, she agreed, but there was one condition. Esmeralda had to return home before 9 p.m., and she kept her word, quickly getting into the car. Inside were three of her friends, laughing and chatting, along with her cousin, Rubio Mario Martinez, who was 25. The atmosphere was cheerful, filled with laughter and weekend plans. The truth, however, wouldn't emerge for some time. Martinez had no intention of taking them to the fair. Instead, he told them the event was canceled and directed them to Playa Moco. The girls were excited. An unexpected trip to the coast felt thrilling. But Isabel wasn't informed of the change. The drive ended up taking nearly an hour. The drive took them along long roads, with bright lights and loud music playing from the speakers. Martinez stopped at a gas station, went inside, and returned with a bag. A later investigation revealed it contained a bottle of beer and a packet of pills, though the teens didn't think much of it. Martinez had the keys while Murillo sat beside him. In the back seat, the girls laughed and filmed short videos for social media. After a while, Martinez asked Esmeralda to sit up front so he could show her the way. He poured the beer into a plastic cup and added some pills while she sat next to him. One of the girls noticed but said nothing. Fear of speaking up in front of an adult outweighed any worry. As Esmeralda drank from the cup, she had no idea what it contained. Soon she began to lose energy, stopped talking with the group, and appeared exhausted and worn out. The others assumed she was sick, perhaps from the heat or the long drive. By the time they reached the beach, some shade had already formed, offering a safer spot. Martinez parked away from the main lot and told everyone to head to the water, but asked Esmeralda to stay behind for a moment to help with a few things. Murillo and the other girls went ahead. Even while alone with Martinez by the car, Esmeralda didn't feel afraid. Nothing seemed unsafe. It felt like just another evening out with a trusted adult. Only a few small details made the situation feel different. The change of plans, the drinking, and the unusual behavior that, in hindsight, would signal a deadly pattern. But no one realized that what initially seemed like an innocent trip had taken a darker turn. As the beach grew darker, the sound of voices was drowned out by the waves. Esmeralda wasn't with the group when the girls returned after a while. The car remained parked nearby. Eventually Martinez returned, saying she was resting inside and feeling a bit better. He spoke calmly, showing nothing unusual. No one questioned him. As the beach emptied, the girls asked to go home, but Martinez kept delaying their departure. He said he was tired and needed a little more time before driving. It felt off. Why stay when it was nearly dark? Soon the girls noticed Esmeralda was still in the car. They asked if she was okay, and Martinez quickly replied that she was asleep. As night fell, he finally said it was time to leave, while everyone else took their seats. Esmeralda still hadn't come out, and Martinez then told the girls she would ride in the front to make space for the others in the back. The girls said nothing, they didn't see her, and none of them knew what was wrong. Once the car started moving, the silence felt unnatural. The girls whispered among themselves, but Martinez stayed quiet. In the rearview mirror, they could only see his face and Esmeralda's figure beside him. When the girls asked about her, he gave vague answers, acting as if nothing unusual had happened. The drive from the beach to the next stop, a petrol station, was short, but the calm of the night had already completely broken down. When the car stopped and the others got out for a break, Esmeralda remained behind, too weak to call for help. She had grown worse since leaving the beach. Her face was pale, she spoke little, clutched her stomach, and struggled to keep her eyes open. One of the girls noticed how sick she was and asked the teacher to stop somewhere. He agreed, and Martinez pulled into the next gas station. Surveillance cameras recorded the time, 9:45 p.m. The footage showed Esmeralda walking unsteadily toward the restroom. Just minutes later, an employee discovered a large amount of blood inside, with stains on the floor, walls, and near the sink. While people tried to understand what was happening, Esmeralda returned to the car, and Martinez quickly drove off, preventing anyone from helping her. Her friends later said she complained of pain and dizziness, begging him to stop because she was scared. Martinez stayed calm in appearance, claiming he knew where to get medicine. He then drove to a pharmacy where he bought painkillers, a pack of sanitary pads, and an emergency birth control pills. Yet, he never called for medical help. The girls couldn't understand why an adult wouldn't take their friend to a hospital. He claimed Esmeralda was experiencing normal issues and was too shy to talk about them, speaking with apparent confidence. Despite this, his voice was tense, he rushed, and avoided eye contact, signs that he was hiding something. He went into a nearby store and bought clothes. When the car stopped again, he handed them to Esmeralda because her own clothes were stained with blood, saying nothing as he placed the bag in the back seat. The girls sensed that something was seriously wrong, but remained silent. Even as Esmeralda struggled to stay conscious, her condition worsened. She spoke little and occasionally closed her eyes, slipping in and out of awareness. Martinez watched her closely, realizing things were spiraling, yet he still didn't seek medical help. His actions weren't about keeping her safe. They were about concealing what had already happened. He knew that with every passing moment, the truth became harder to hide. He could have stopped at a hospital, but instead drove home, pretending everything was fine. That night, the calculated coldness of an adult clashed with the fear and suffering of a child. Help was within reach for Esmeralda, but the very person who should have protected her chose to lie and stay silent. Around 11 p.m. that night, Martinez pulled up to the Ritchie's house in his car and quickly left. Isabel Martinez met her daughter with anger in her eyes. Esmeralda was late, wearing different clothes, and had given no explanation. And Isabel didn't know the reason for the delay and spoke quietly, though sadness was clear in her voice. Esmeralda, pale and exhausted, said nothing in response. She only mentioned that she was tired and went straight to her room, where a friend who had also been on the trip was waiting. The room was silent. Esmeralda lay facing the wall, clutching her stomach and moaning softly, trying not to make a sound. She whispered, "Don't." when her friend asked if they should call her parents. In a weak voice, she added, "It will pass." Just before dawn, the friend woke to see Esmeralda lying still, eyes closed, breathing heavily but steadily. Not wanting to disturb her, the friend quietly left, assuming she was simply sleeping. After the friend left, the house fell silent again. Around 7 a.m., Isabel tried to wake her daughter, but received no response. When she opened the door, she saw an empty bed with blood on the sheets. Her daughter's phone and a closed notebook lay on the table. Isabel called out, thinking Esmeralda might be in the bathroom, but only silence answered her. Then she saw her daughter's body lying face down on the tile floor, surrounded by blood, a broken mug, and a towel. Isabel froze for a moment, struggling to grasp what had happened before letting out a loud, desperate scream. Her mother? Her older daughter ran after John Kelly Martinez. Attempts to lift her daughter felt unreal, like being trapped in a nightmare. The house was filled with frantic phone calls, tears, and the kind of silence that follows an unspeakable tragedy. When the medical team arrived, they could only confirm the worst. Between 3 and 4 a.m., as Esmeralda died from blood loss, help that might have saved her never came. The once lively home was now eerily silent. Esmeralda's room had become the tragic place where she died. Fear gripped the morning of February 13th, and by nightfall, the entire city knew. News of the teenager's death spread quickly, first locally and then across social media in her memory. Her school observed a moment of silence, and the shock was so profound that people kept repeating the same thought. She was alive last night, and now she's gone. Initial reports were unclear. A police investigation found no obvious signs of outside involvement. At first, authorities considered the possibility of sudden illness or menstrual complications. That explanation might have been accepted if witnesses hadn't later revealed the truth. A few hours later, petrol station employees came forward with new evidence. Witnesses said they saw a group of teens and a tense-looking man that night. Security footage confirmed their account. It was the first major break in the case. Then, as Esmeralda's friends came forward, they revealed that the teacher had told them not to call their parents and had offered them beer. Esmeralda had already been feeling unwell, and one of the girls reported seeing something frightening given to her. Martinez had added something to it, which one girl witnessed. This detail shifted the direction of the investigation. Police searched Martinez's car and found traces of blood and biological material inside. His DNA matched samples taken from Esmeralda, confirmed by forensic tests. They also recovered the same cup, which still contained traces of a prescription drug. Initially, rumors began circulating through the neighborhood. Some people speculated that Esmeralda might have taken illegal pills to prevent a pregnancy, an idea that seemed plausible when it was revealed that Martinez had bought emergency birth control at a pharmacy. However, forensic analysis disproved this. Esmeralda was not pregnant. The official autopsy confirmed that she had died from massive internal bleeding caused by physical trauma. Her body showed bruises, scratches, and soft tissue injuries. The revelation was devastating for her parents. They realized their daughter hadn't died from a medical issue. She had been the victim of a crime. Everything that had been unclear before now became painfully certain. Martinez wasn't just a witness. He was the cause. After that, the case changed entirely. People struggled to face a truth they didn't want to confront. How could someone be responsible for the death of a child in their care? A video found on Esmeralda's phone became the most critical piece of evidence. Investigators discovered it while reviewing a recent call. The records showed a call made in the middle of the night. A close friend hadn't heard it ring because they were asleep. When experts recovered the recording, it was clear this was no accidental call. In the faint, whispered voice, Esmeralda could be heard saying she was in pain and losing a lot of blood. Her breathing was uneven, and her words were difficult to make out. "I'm dying. Tell them," were her last words before the call ended. That recording changed everything. Listening to it left no doubt. After returning home, she had still been alive. The call occurred between 3 and 4 a.m., exactly matching the time of death noted by the medical examiner. For the investigation, it meant only one thing. The teacher did nothing to help her, leaving her in a critical state. Her whispered account of her own death became the final piece of evidence proving his responsibility. The courtroom fell silent when the recording was played. That terrified, fragile voice said, "What?" No words could capture it. She had called out, hoping someone would hear, but no one did. A few months after the tragedy, the trial began. John Kelly Martinez, a math teacher from Highway, sat on the defendant's bench. The courtroom was filled with reporters, parents, and local residents, and every hearing was broadcast on regional TV. The case drew widespread public attention. The school administration quickly issued a statement, claiming they weren't responsible for actions taken by an employee outside of work. They offered condolences, but didn't mention any internal investigations, leaving the Ritchie family feeling ignored. Many people spoke out. The defense lawyer argued the death was accidental, but the evidence proved otherwise. John Kelly Martinez was sentenced to 20 years in prison after the court found him guilty of violent acts that led to a minor's death. He was also ordered to pay compensation to the victim's family. This ruling offered little comfort to Esmeralda's parents, who repeatedly said that nothing could ever bring their daughter back. No amount of money or prison time could ever make up for their loss. Even after the trial concluded, a lingering sense of injustice remained, along with the haunting question of why no one intervened before it was too late. Thank you for watching and supporting our true crime community. Every view, like, comment, and share helps us continue creating content that explores the darker aspects of human behavior, raises awareness, and encourages critical thinking. Together, we are building a community that values vigilance, curiosity, and the pursuit of truth. Every interaction strengthens this space and reminds us all of the importance of staying alert and informed. In my personal opinion, this case is absolutely heartbreaking and deeply disturbing because it shows how evil can sometimes hide behind the face of trust. What makes it so chilling is that Esmeralda's final hours were not shaped by a random act of violence, but by the betrayal of someone who was supposed to protect and guide young people. A teacher is meant to be a symbol of safety, yet in this case, that trust appears to have been cruelly exploited. The most painful part is knowing that there were multiple moments when her life might still have been saved, but instead, fear, silence, and deliberate inaction allowed the tragedy to unfold. To me, this case is not only about one horrific crime, but also about the terrifying consequences of ignored warning signs and the devastating cost of misplaced trust, making it one of those stories that stays with you long after hearing it.